Have you ever felt that there is more to life than what the eyes can see? Your first awakening opened your awareness to your spiritual nature, freed you from the ego, and shifted you from an automatic life into a conscious existence. Now it is time to go deeper. Your second awakening is a profound transformation, where every thought, feeling, and action is illuminated with an intensity you have never known before. You begin to realize how often you lived on autopilot, with habits and routines dictating your actions. Now you embrace each moment with intention. Your interactions become more meaningful as you truly listen and engage, seeing others with new clarity. This is not just a mental shift, it is a metamorphosis of your entire being. Your choices become conscious and infused with the power of deliberate intention. You are no longer a passive observer but an active creator of your reality. This transformation elevates you into a higher vibrational existence, where life unfolds with extraordinary depth and fulfillment. The first sign of your second awakening is the recognition of your vibrational reality. You become aware that every thought, feeling, and action sends out a frequency that shapes the world around you. Imagine moving through your day without trying to control every outcome, but instead embodying the experiences you wish to live. Your morning routine becomes a sacred ritual, each action intentional and aligned with your higher self. You are not just making coffee, you infuse each cup with your intentions, transforming an ordinary task into a powerful tool of manifestation. As you shift from controlling to embodying, you notice that the world around you changes. New people enter your life, bringing opportunities aligned with your elevated state. Abundance flows effortlessly, not because you chased it, but because your vibration attracted it. Your reality becomes a mirror of your inner state, reflecting the harmony and abundance you cultivate within. This awareness transforms your interactions, making every moment an opportunity to manifest your desires. Your life becomes a symphony of high-frequency vibrations, drawing in everything you need to thrive. This is the essence of living in a higher vibrational reality, where your inner state shapes your outer world with precision and grace. The second sign of your second awakening is realizing that attracting better things is not about thinking more, but about embodying higher vibrations. You were taught to strategize and overanalyze, believing that more thought meant more success. But true awakening happens when you shift from thinking to feeling and embody the higher frequencies you wish to attract. Look at your daily interactions. Instead of carefully planning every conversation or action, you begin to act from a place of intuitive flow. You walk into meetings with calm confidence, radiating a frequency that effortlessly attracts respect and cooperation. You are not just participating, you are leading with an invisible force, your vibrational energy. New insights flood your awareness like beams of light cutting through fog. You understand that your worth is not tied to constant mental activity but to the purity of your vibration. Your relationships transform as you attract people who resonate with your higher state. Opportunities arise with ease, as though the universe aligns itself with your elevated frequency. Your days are filled with synchronicities, each moment a testimony to your new clarity and the power of thinking less and being more. This is the magic of your second awakening. The third sign of your second awakening is the experience of a perception filter upgrade, where your awareness sharpens and the ordinary becomes magical. You begin to see the world with heightened clarity, colors appear more vivid, and every moment feels infused with deeper meaning. Consider your daily life. When you watch the sunset, you no longer see just fading light, but a symphony of colors that touches your soul and fills you with awe and connection. Walking through a park, you are captivated by the fine details of a single leaf, revealing a hidden universe within its veins. These everyday experiences become profound moments of insight, grounding you in the beauty of the present. This heightened perception is not only about seeing more, it is about feeling more deeply. Your senses tune to life's subtleties, allowing you to connect with the world on a deeper level. Through this, you begin to integrate and transcend the spiritual ego. You learn that true awakening is not about comparison or superiority, but about deepening your connection to humility and compassion. It is about recognizing the unique path of every soul with respect and love, without measuring your own against theirs. This awareness dissolves illusions of superiority and brings you back to the essence of your spiritual journey, unity and love. In this stage, you shed the layers of ego disguised as spirituality and embrace the simplicity and authenticity of true enlightenment. Your actions become more genuine, your interactions more compassionate, and your spiritual practice more grounded. This is the delicate yet powerful transformation of integrating and transcending the spiritual ego, a key sign of your second awakening. The fifth sign of your second awakening is the profound shift from having and doing to being. Society constantly pushes you to acquire more and do more, measuring success by possessions and busyness. This pursuit is exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling. You begin to realize that true fulfillment comes from presence, by allowing yourself simply to exist in the moment. The traditional focus on accumulating wealth, recognition, and experiences loses its appeal. Instead, you begin to value the quiet strength of presence. On your daily commute, instead of worrying about your to-do list, you find peace in the stillness, feeling your breath flow through your body and connecting deeply with the now. In this elevated state of being, you allow divine energy to flow through you. It is no longer about controlling every aspect of life, but about surrendering to the present moment. This shift transforms your relationships, making them more genuine and heartfelt. Your work becomes a joyful expression of your true self, not just a means to an end. This transition from having and doing to being marks a significant evolution in your consciousness. It frees you from the chains of societal expectations and immerses you in the profound beauty of pure existence. Here lies true peace, where you discover the boundless joy of living in harmony with the universe. The sixth sign of your second awakening is the spontaneous release of long-suppressed emotions. You may suddenly find yourself crying, laughing, or experiencing intense waves of feelings that surface without warning. These moments are not random, they are profound signals of your healing process. Imagine hearing a familiar song or walking past a place from your past. Suddenly tears flow, or you burst into uncontrollable laughter. This is your soul cleansing itself, releasing stored energy and unresolved issues buried deep within. Your body frees itself from the emotional chains that weighed you down for so long. As these emotions rise, you heal old wounds and unresolved pain, transforming suffering into peace. This release may be triggered by the simplest things, a conversation with a friend, a quiet moment alone, or even while washing dishes. Each release brings a wave of relief and clarity, allowing you to move forward with lightness. This emotional release is not just catharsis, it is an essential process of shedding old skins, enabling you to embrace a freer, more authentic version of yourself. You are not merely experiencing these waves of emotion passively, you are actively participating in your own healing. By allowing these emotions to flow, you honor your past and prepare the way for a future filled with deeper joy and freedom. This is the power and beauty of emotional release and healing in your second awakening. The seventh sign of your second awakening is the dissolution of old identities. You begin shedding former roles and labels, feeling increasingly detached from earlier versions of yourself. This transformative process is not just change, it is a radical shift in how you perceive and define your essence. Look at your daily interactions. You may notice that titles and labels that once seemed so important now feel hollow. The roles you played in career, family, or social settings no longer define you. Instead, you embrace a fluid, evolving identity, no longer limited by societal expectations or past achievements. This fluidity allows you to move through life more freely and authentically. Hypatia of Alexandria, a philosopher and mathematician, remained devoted to her intellectual pursuits despite societal pressures, leaving a lasting legacy in science and philosophy. A pioneering scholar, she excelled in mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy, teaching and writing at a time when such roles were rare for women. Her dedication to knowledge and reason made her a respected figure in Alexandria's intellectual circles. Despite fierce opposition and ultimately her martyrdom, Hypatia's contributions influenced scientific and philosophical thought for centuries. Her life stands as a testimony to the enduring power of intellectual integrity and courage. Like Hypatia, you now step into a space where your true self can flourish, free from outdated labels. In this state, you become a living testimony to the power of transformation. Your self-understanding is no longer tied to fixed definitions but is a dynamic, evolving force. This freedom from old identities allows you to connect more deeply with your true purpose and passions. Each day, you awaken not as a fixed character, but as an ever-unfolding being, ready to discover new aspects of yourself. This is the power of dissolving old identities, a crucial step in your second awakening. The eighth sign of your second awakening is intuitive insight, moments when deep clarity and understanding strike you out of nowhere. You begin to trust your intuition more than ever before, moving through life guided by an inner compass that feels unfailingly accurate. Think of the times when you made spontaneous decisions that turned out to be perfect. You decide on a whim to take a trip, and it leads to significant personal growth by exposing you to new cultures, ideas, and connections that enrich your life in unexpected ways. Your intuition becomes your most trusted guide, leading you toward opportunities and experiences aligned with your true self. The ninth sign of your second awakening is the recognition of the material illusion, where the pursuit of possessions loses its appeal. You begin to see through the illusion that things could bring lasting satisfaction, and instead, you find true joy in experiences and relationships. Consider your daily choices. You may decide to spend money on an unforgettable trip with loved ones rather than on the latest gadget. This shift shows a profound change in what you value, placing the richness of shared moments above the fleeting thrill of new things. You begin to cherish the laughter around a campfire, the deep conversations during a long drive, and the bond strengthened by shared adventures. Have you ever had the feeling that everything around you shifted slightly in a single moment, as if the world had changed without you noticing? What if those changes are more than mere coincidences or perceptual errors, but constant shifts between different realities, and you don't even realize it? Parallel realities are not only a concept reserved for science fiction. They are part of a large field of research in quantum physics that explores the possibility that infinitely many versions of reality exist simultaneously. But how does that affect your life? Perhaps in a much more direct way than many imagine. Every decision, every thought, and every emotion can cause an imperceptible shift, a path that leads you to a new version of yourself and the world around you. Often these transitions are subtle, almost unnoticeable, but sometimes they can be so profound that they completely call into question your understanding of what is real. Understanding the nature of parallel realities means recognizing that the present is not fixed, but fluid and malleable. The version of you that exists now may not be the same as the one from a minute ago. In this constant movement lies the power of transformation. A shift in your perception can change the direction of your life entirely and bring you into alignment with a higher version of yourself. But how do these realities manifest in your daily life? And more importantly, how can you tell if you have already switched into a new reality? Today you will discover the signs that you have shifted into a parallel reality. Maybe you have already moved into another reality without noticing. The deeper you dive into this topic, the more you will recognize that the essence of your life is shaped by these invisible changes that constantly push you toward your true potential. If everything around you can change so subtly that you barely notice it, what is really happening to your reality? The idea of parallel realities may seem complex, yet at its core it suggests that life is not linear. Instead, we are constantly navigating between different versions of reality shaped by our decisions, thoughts, and emotions. Imagine your life as a vast ocean of possibilities, where each wave represents a new version of your reality. With every decision, those waves reorganize and create a new path. That path can be almost identical to the previous one or completely different. What defines this transition is the state of our consciousness, and often we only recognize the change after it has already occurred. Quantum physics offers a powerful analogy to understand how these transitions happen. Essentially, it teaches us that the universe consists of probabilities. Every event, every choice generates a set of probabilities that can manifest in the reality you are currently living in. Simply put, what you perceive as your present is only one version among infinitely many possible realities. If you wake up in the morning and decide to change a habit, you may be laying the groundwork for a transition between realities. However, this transition does not manifest abruptly. It is subtle, almost like the change from one scene to another in a film. Here the concept of continuity comes into play. Just as a film strip consists of individual frames that, when projected at high speed, create the illusion of continuous movement, your life also seems to be a linear sequence of events. But in reality you move through different frames of reality every second. What maintains this illusion of continuity is your mind, which connects these fragmented moments and interprets them as a cohesive narrative. These constant transitions are natural, and you often experience them without noticing. For example, if you notice a small change in your environment, something is not in its place or an object seems slightly shifted, then you may actually have moved into a new reality. These seemingly insignificant changes could be subtle signs that you are moving between these parallel realities. And although these transitions may seem small, their impact on your life can be profound. Understanding this concept is crucial to recognizing how much you can truly shape your own experience. You are not merely a passive observer of reality. On the contrary, you are an active creator constantly influencing the various realities unfolding around you. Every decision you make, however insignificant it may seem, has the power to move you into a new reality. But this understanding leads to a fundamental question: if we are constantly moving between these realities, how can we use this power for our personal development? How can we align ourselves with the version of ourselves that we truly want to be? On this path of self-discovery, learning to recognize these transition moments can be the first step toward consciously changing your reality. If you pay attention to the small details in your life, you may begin to notice that from time to time something seems out of place. Maybe you are absolutely sure where you left your keys, and suddenly you find them somewhere else. Or maybe there is that inexplicable feeling that something in your environment has changed, although at first glance everything looks the same. These small adjustments in reality could be one of the subtlest signs that you are moving between different versions of the world around you. These changes, as small as they may appear, carry a deeper meaning. When a parallel reality comes into play, what appears to be a simple inconsistency, something out of place, a feeling of discontinuity, may be a direct reflection of a transition to another level of reality. At that moment you are no longer exactly where you were before. Imagine your life as a series of paths that all lead to different destinations. Every decision you make, every emotion you feel, traces these paths. Yet some deviations are so small that they go unnoticed, as if you make slight course corrections without realizing it. Still, even these micro-adjustments can put you on a completely new course. These movements can be as simple as the feeling of déjà vu, the sense that you have experienced this moment before but with a small difference. It is as if you are reliving a slightly different version of the present. Sometimes the changes are so subtle that they only become noticeable over time, when you begin to notice a series of small changes in your everyday life. Apart from objects being out of place, there are moments when you can feel a shift in your own energy. Maybe one day you wake up with an inexplicable sense of clarity, a renewed sense of purpose, as if something inside you has suddenly aligned. These are signs that something has changed internally and your outer reality is beginning to reflect that change. Recognizing these shifts is the first step to understanding how much you actually influence your reality. It is not just about noticing a key in a different place, it is about realizing that these small adjustments can be signs of a much larger transformation. These subtle movements happen constantly, and the more aware you are of them, the more you can use this awareness to consciously shape your future. By aligning yourself with these changes and recognizing that they indicate a transition, you can begin to make more conscious choices. Instead of simply reacting to the world around you, you become a co-creator of your own reality. This mindfulness for details strengthens your connection to the version of yourself you want to be. Making the process of personal development tangible and present requires more than simple attention. It is necessary to be present and conscious in the moment. Often we are so immersed in our daily routines that we do not notice the subtle changes around us. When you start asking yourself questions like, "What is different?" or "Why does this feel out of place?" you open a new door of perception, and that door leads to a deeper understanding of how your reality is constantly adapting, shaped by your choices and intentions. The more you tune into these signs, the more you align yourself with the parallel version of yourself. Every small adjustment in reality is an opportunity for reflection. So when something catches your attention, try thinking about it. How does this change reflect who I am becoming? In this state of awareness, the true power of transformation begins to awaken. Sometimes you can remember an event from the past with total clarity, only to later find out that it did not happen exactly as you remembered. This phenomenon, where memories apparently change or adapt in unexpected ways, can be a sign that you have undergone a transition between parallel realities. When we switch into a new reality, our memories subtly adjust and create a new narrative of the past that feels familiar but is not exactly the same as before. Our memory is not an exact recording of events. In fact, it is highly malleable. The brain, in its adaptive capacity, reconstructs memories each time we access them. That means that every time you recall something, you potentially alter small details of that memory. What once seemed clear and immutable can suddenly appear blurred or even different. This is what neuroscience calls neural plasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and change by reorganizing neural connections according to new experiences and information. But this capacity for reconstruction is not just a peculiarity of the human mind, it is also a way to adapt to the new reality we find ourselves in. If we consider the concept of parallel realities, this acquires a new dimension. If with each switch to a new reality our lifeline subtly changes, it is only logical that our memories also adapt. The event that once seemed clear may have different details in a new reality. What is more fascinating is that these changes do not happen abruptly. They are so gentle that you may not notice at first that something has changed until you are confronted with a new version of that memory. This phenomenon is often associated with the idea of a false memory, where you are sure something happened a certain way, but when you check, the details are different. A well-known example of this effect is the so-called Mandela effect, where large groups of people remember an event or fact differently than the documented reality. These divergent memories often produce discomfort because they challenge the notion of continuity and stability. However, this phenomenon is not just a psychological curiosity, it reveals the malleability of our perception. Neural plasticity shows us that our mind constantly restructures and organizes memories according to our new understanding of reality. That does not mean our memories are wrong or invalid, it means they are dynamic interpretations shaped both by our experiences and by the current context. These small adjustments could be signs that you are accessing a memory from a new reality, in which certain aspects of the past have been reinterpreted or reorganized to match your current version of yourself. The more you pay attention to these moments, the clearer it becomes how fluid the perception of the past can be. And this transformation does not only happen around you but also within you, by changing how you relate to your own memories. The big question here is, to what extent is the past you remember fixed? If every new version of reality brings new possibilities for interpreting the past, then what is the past really? When we understand how malleable our memories are, we also realize that we are not prisoners of what we believe we experienced. Just as the present is flexible, the past can also be viewed from a new perspective. This understanding gives us power. If we grasp it, we can learn to loosen the chains that the past has placed on us. Stories of pain, regret, or frustration can be recontextualized. You can free yourself from old narratives that hold you back, knowing that the past you remember may be only one version among many. And just as reality adapts, you can choose which version of the past you take into the future. Moreover, science shows us that when we access memories we activate specific neural networks. As our consciousness expands and changes, those networks are also modified. Each time we retrieve a memory it is edited based on our current state. The perception of the past thus becomes a mirror of who we are now, not only who we were at the time the event occurred. This realization that the past can also change when your reality shifts is truly liberating. It allows you to view your personal story as fluid, not as something that defines who you are, but as a collection of experiences that can be reinterpreted. And as you continue to evolve and change, your memories follow this process and adapt to your new reality. At certain moments it seems as if reality suddenly breaks, as if something no longer fits into the expected sequence of events. These moments of discontinuity, in which the normal course of things appears to shift without logical explanation, can be clear signs that you have shifted into a parallel reality. Moments in which something drastic was just avoided, which often leave us perplexed, as if the sequence of events was skipped or adjusted, can also be seen as indications of a jump into a parallel reality. And perhaps, on a deeper level, that is exactly what happened. These breaks in continuity are not just coincidences or perceptual errors. They can be signs that you have transitioned on a quantum mechanical level into a new version of reality, a reality in which, for example, a catastrophe was avoided. This suggests that your consciousness, when faced with a potentially decisive event, quickly moved into a reality where the outcome was different from what initially seemed inevitable. These transitions can happen so suddenly that the mind tries to justify what occurred. You might ask yourself, how did I get out of that situation so quickly, or why does this feel so surreal? When we are confronted with these events, our logical mind attempts to find an explanation, but often there is no rational answer that fully satisfies our doubt. This feeling that something is off can be a hint that you have made an abrupt jump between realities by landing on a line in which the tragic or dramatic outcome did not occur. These moments of discontinuity are especially common in extreme risk situations, such as near accidents or moments of emotional crisis, where the intensity of the event seems to break the normal flow of time. There are reports of people who, during near-death experiences, felt a suspension in which time seemed to slow down or stop, and then suddenly everything was normal again as if nothing dangerous had happened. These episodes can be reflections of quantum mechanical transitions to another level of reality. This concept is deeply connected to the understanding that different outcomes are possible in every parallel reality. In one reality the accident could have happened, while in another you escaped unharmed. In moments of great emotional or physical intensity your consciousness can be in a heightened state of receptivity, which eases the transition between realities. What at first glance appears to be an inexplicable event could actually be a reflection of a switch to a version of your life in which the outcome was more favorable. These breaks in continuity can also serve as powerful reminders that reality is not as fixed as it seems. The rigidity we often ascribe to our everyday experience may be only an illusion. When these events occur they challenge us to rethink our beliefs about what is real and how reality can be shaped. And this opens up a new dimension of possibilities. If you can switch to a reality in which something tragic was avoided, what else could you change or influence in your own life? So remember that these inexplicable moments of discontinuity can be seen as opportunities for awakening. They force us to pause and reconsider the world around us as well as the role we play in creating this experience. Instead of fearing or ignoring these events, we can learn to see them as portals to new possibilities, to new paths of existence that are constantly available to us. Now that you have recognized the subtle signs of transitions between realities, small adjustments in everyday life, changes in the perception of the past and breaks in continuity, an important question remains. What can you do with this knowledge? When you consciously recognize these signs, they empower you to take control of your experience.